Alright, so welcome to the first tutorial that I'll be doing for my channel. I'm going to be trying to turn this into a more tutorial friendly tips and tricks video where I'll be teaching a lot of what goes into like YouTube videos, streams, media, creativeness, art, and pretty much anything you can think of related to, you know, technology in a way, some product reviews as well once I get there, best camera lenses, just generally anything to do with technology, art and creativeness, and anything, you know, that'll deliver content. So today we're going to be quickly going ahead and showing you guys the best settings you can use for your OBS stream. Now, this is going to be using OBS Studio. If you haven't got this offer already, so then head over to the link in the description. Just download the latest version of OBS. The one I'm using is 19.0.2 and it's the 64-bit version. If you don't know what version, it's probably 64-bit nowadays. But if you have a 32-bit system, then obviously you're going to have to download the 32-bit system version. So, getting into the settings now, once we've actually got our OBS, first of all, it may look a little bit different to you guys when you first download it. It might be white, so it might be like this version. I don't really like this version. I think it looks old and a little bit hard in the eyes sometimes if you have a really bright monitor. So what I'll like to do is go to general, just change it to dark, and it looks a lot better. Hit apply and then OK. I'm not going to hit OK just because I'm going to move on to the extra settings now. Moving on to the second tab, we have the stream. And now this tutorial is primarily for the Twitch streaming service. So you're gonna want to just click Twitch, and then you want to find the server that is closest to you. So that'll be London for me, but it could be somewhere completely different for you. So then you obviously go to your twitch.tv/ your username, then / dashboard, go to your settings, and then find your Twitch key, and you can just copy and paste this into the stream key. Don't show the stream key to anyone. If anybody asks for it, don't give them it, as a heads up. Moving on to the next tab is output. Now, this is where you're going to have to do all your sort of technical side of things. I won't be able to actually edit it, but I can just show you the sort of settings I have. So we have the output mode. This will be probably on simple if you just download it. You want to switch that to advanced. So you click this and drag down and change it to advanced. Now, something really cool about OBS is it has lots of different audio tracks, so you can actually, I usually only use one, and that's probably what you're going to want to use if you're streaming just games and, you know, playing with friends or whatever. You're going to only want to have one track. But say you're doing like a podcast, you want to have lots of different tracks, or you're doing like sort of a more upmarket sort of production video or stream, you're going to definitely want to use these different audio tracks. You can put maybe a Skype call, TeamSpeak, voice chat in one of these audio tracks, and then the other one going to be your games, so you can actually just turn them off with hotkeys when you move on in the future. But yeah, so next you want to go for the encoder, and this is going to be definitely don't want to touch this. I mean, just leave it at X264. It's not going to do anything really. If you just leave it at X264, that's pretty much the default setting, and that's the setting that everyone uses. So moving on now is the enforced streaming service. I like to click this, and a lot of people will, you know, think the 1080p will look better on Twitch. It does if you have sort of a really smooth stream with a really high recording preset, and I highly recommend if you're just going to be streaming for fun with viewers and maybe just casually playing a video game from your own point of view, definitely just go for 1280 by 720, because the bitrate, the maximum bitrate that Twitch allows is 3500, and that's not enough to really run a 1080p 60 frames per second in a nice quality. So you're not going to see much of a difference between 720 and 1080 on Twitch, unless you're streaming to YouTube Gaming, where they like allow bit rates up to 10,000, then you're obviously going to see a massive difference in quality if you switch to 1080p. But for now, this tutorial is based on Twitch, so we'll be avoiding, you know, 1080p. Now, for the rate control, we're going to go for CBR, and this is what is the most, this is the rate control that is supported by Twitch. So we're going to change this to CBR. And for the bit rate, we're going to leave this, we're going to change this to 3500. Now, this will be tweaked based on your internet speed, based on your computer power, and you're gonna have to really spend some time tweaking it, making it suit you a lot better than maybe my setting. So I'm using the maximum setting because my internet and my PC can handle it, but maybe you can't, and maybe your internet's a little bit slower. So obviously you're gonna want to tweak this to make it and is available to yourself. So for the bitrate, I use 3500. And a way to check how strong your internet is, you can go to speedtest.net, do a little test, and figure out what your download speed is. And if it's pretty high, then you can go for 3500. If it's a little bit on the lower end, say 20 megabytes per second, then you definitely want to go take this down to around 2700 or maybe just 3000. Just tweak it, make sure everything works. 3500 will give you the best quality, and that's what I run. So for the use custom buffer size, I just leave that unchecked because I don't really need to use it. But maybe if you do a little bit more tweaking with the bitrate, maybe your internet's a bit slower, then you can maybe use this custom buffer size to really help you in the future. For the keyframe interval, I just leave that at 2. You'd want to just keep it at 2. It's probably the best setting. But here comes a little bit more of an interesting part of this tutorial. The CPU usage preset is really what is the big kicker in the quality of your stream. So basically, the lower you go, the slower the preset, then obviously you're going to have a much stronger stream. There's not going to be that grainy pixelation, and also it's just going to look a lot better, smoother, and just look like a better quality of picture. Now this will obviously depend on whether your PC can, CPU mostly, can handle it, and overall quality of your PC can handle it. But if you have a really fast computer, you can try and just get as low as you can and wait till you get lag spikes pretty much, or it affects the game quality, or maybe the stream is lagging a little bit. So you want to go as low as you can, just test this. For me, I like to go with fast or very fast or faster. Very fast is the default setting. I like to go to faster usually when I stream, but for now a lot of people, very fast will be fine. But if you have sort of a weaker CPU, then you definitely want to go for very super fast, because it still delivers a pretty good quality, and it's still, you know, it's a lot less hard on your CPU and system overall. For the profile, I like to change this to high. I think the default setting is main, but I just change it to high because it does deliver a little bit of a more, it's easier on the processor and the computer as a whole, so it's a lot more beneficial for people with weaker systems to run the high setting. And also main, I don't really notice a difference between the two settings, but I just like to run high. And if you obviously want to tweak it yourself, this tutorial is not set in stone. I'm just giving you guidelines to maybe how you want to set it up. For the tune, I just have it at none, and variable frame rate unchecked, and x264 is also blank as well. Now, once you want to do that, once you've done this, you can just go over from the streaming over to the audio section. And for streaming, I changed the audio track that I'm actually, you know, using at the time, which is track 1. I'll change that to 192 when I'm streaming, but if I'm recording, I'll obviously want to change this to like 320 or whatever. But I use Audacity to record my audio, so I'm not using the recording audio from OBS to, you know, deliver this. So for the audio, you're going to want to change it to 192 for streaming, as it just delivers a lot better quality than the default setting, which is 160. But if obviously you're having issues, then you can switch it up if you wish. So once you've done that, you can hit apply, and that will apply all your settings. And then you can head on to the audio section, and this is basically where you set up all your microphones. For a lot of people, I don't know, I know the 48 kilohertz is really what my microphone supports, but I'm using the Blue Yeti at the minute because I usually use my my XLR microphone, which is over here, but I'm not using it right now. I'm using the Blue Yeti just because it's easier. I could just slide it on over, plug it in. So yeah, you basically want to go for the sample rate. It doesn't really matter that much. I don't really see a difference, but obviously, basically 44.1 kilohertz is like CD quality, and 48 kilohertz is DVD quality. So there's a little bit of an increase, but not much there. So I just leave it there. You can go for 48 if you want. I don't in particularly do that. For channels, you want to go stereo. If you go mono, it's only going to come out of one ear. So obviously you want to have stereo. For the desktop audio device, you obviously pick the microphone you're using. That's the microphone you're going to be talking with. For the mic auxiliary, that's obviously your microphone. Desktop audio device, sorry, is the speakers. So that's the game volume, or your music, or whatever, just anything that's coming out of the speakers or your headset. That's the one you want to use. So obviously I have so many here. You can pick the monitor, you can pick the cable input. These are all custom ones I have, but obviously you want to pick the one that's coming through your headphones, and my headphones are plugged into the Blue Yeti at the minute, so I'm going to use that. And then for the microphone, obviously the microphone you're using, and then you can obviously put on push to talk, noise gates, everything in this section. I just personally don't use them, but you may need to use them if you so desire. Moving on to the video now, right? So basically, a lot of people might want to go for the base canvas resolution from 1920 by 1080. I just like to have 1270, so there isn't really an output scale. So I just 1280 by 720 is what I use. You can use 1920 by 1080. But obviously you want to have the output scaled resolution. So this is the resolution that'll be output to Twitch. And I leave that at 1280 by 720. As I previously mentioned, you don't really want to go to 1080 because it's not going to really have a benefit compared to, say, on YouTube gaming. So I definitely have it 1280 by 720 if you're streaming to Twitch. For the downscale filter, I go Lanco's sharpen scaling 32 samples. This makes it as like the video and picture quality as sharp as possible without really affecting the FPS too much. But if it does and your stream can't handle it, then you obviously want to turn that down to bilinear or trilinear. And then for the integer FPS value, you can set this to 30 and you can set it to 48. I personally use 60 because it's smooth, it's the smoothest and my PC can handle it. But maybe you can't, so you can change that to 30 or 48 frames per second. And that's pretty much it. Hotkeys are really just to show like parts of your stream. I just use the home insert buttons for like overlays I may have. So for instance, I don't even know what this is right now, but I think it's like, yeah. So basically like a few hotkeys will switch scene and basically stuff like that. But if you guys did enjoy this video and you find it a little bit useful, definitely suggest you hit that subscribe button because I'm going to be uploading a lot more tutorials that are a lot more useful than this one in a way. I'm going to be showing how to make channel art, logos, banners, how to edit with different editing softwares such as Adobe Premiere. You got Sony Vegas. I'll show you how to use After Effects to make cool effects. I'm going to show you how to make CSGO frag movies, montages, and a lot more tutorials are to come. So this is the first one. If you're interested in what is to come, then you can definitely hit that subscribe button and stay up to date for when the next tutorial will come out.